They're all like this now.
It's rough, man.
Life's going to be just like this until I'm dead. Fantastic.
Never gets better, man. I've already started the broadcast, so here we go.
We'll continue talking in these very dark terms.
Hey, everybody, and welcome into Talking Tuscaloosa. Luke Robinson along with Jimmy Stein. As always, Jimmy, how are you today?
I've had better days, frankly, but it's all work and stress related. That's all. That's it. I feel good about the dynasty. It's keeping on, rolling on.
I feel good about the dynasty. And by the way, just quick story. Did you go to the SEC title game?
No. I went on vacation in New York City and returned to Alabama Friday afternoon, and I'm just not cool enough to do 5 days in New York directly to Atlanta for the SEC championship game. I'm just too old and feeble to have that much fun.
I got you. I'm down with it. But while I was there, and randomly, I'm just standing there talking to my lovely bride, and a guy passes me, and he sort of gives me a second look, and then he stops and says, "Are you Luke?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I listen to your podcast." And my first thought was, "Oh my God, you're the one." But my second thought was, how nice of him. But I didn't get his name, but I do appreciate it. If you listen to this particular podcast, we appreciate you very, very much.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it is great when people acknowledge that they like the show. We love doing it, and it's our favorite subject to discuss. Somebody just asked me just a few minutes ago, another lawyer is like, hey, any chance you want to come to lunch with me and talk about Alabama football? I'm like, well, just stick some food in front of me because that's what I'm talking about all day anyway. So just our favorite subject.
So there we go.
Are there other subjects we like more? I mean, maybe temporarily. I live tweeted the Victoria's Secret fashion show Sunday night.
Have you ever heard about these? Have you heard about these Coffee Sisters?
What is that?
All right, it's like Coffey. It's like 4 sisters from Australia. I don't know if they're actually sisters. They may be. They're unbelievable. I mean, my first thought when I saw them, and this is a testament to my sickness and my age, was Jimmy's going to love these girls.
That sounds terrible about me, and even though you are probably 100% correct.
What's terrible, my first thought is when I see these hourglass-shaped women in bikinis is, oh my God, Jimmy's going to love this.
What's wrong with you?
That's pathetic. All right,
something's obviously wrong with me, but something's very wrong with you.
No, I think it's definitely worse for me than it is for you. Are you doing a Rubik's Cube in the background? What's going on?
Are you hearing a bunch of clicking?
Yes.
What you're hearing is I'm Googling the freaking Coffee Sisters. That's what I'm doing. That's what you're hearing.
How big are your keys on that keyboard? Are you using your fist?
Don't ask me to Google the Coffee Sisters and ask me if I'm using my fist. This is not the right podcast.
All right, listen.
They're from Australia.
They are from Australia. Do you see them? Coffey?
Oh, yikes. Yep.
Yikes
wow.
Is not what you say when you see that. It's what they say when they see us.
Wow. Whoa, 5'9". 24 years old. Okay. Yeah, that's I recommend. Oh, they're surfers.
Yeah,
you think they know Blake Barnett?
Possibly.
They're surfers?
Yeah.
They're all
right.
surfers.
I shouldn't have done this because you're completely distracted. And all we did was win an SEC championship. All we've done since we've had a podcast is be tied with the Citadel, beat Auburn in historic fashion, and then win an SEC title. And I can't get you off 8 boobs.
What I'm announcing here is the start of our new podcast, Talking Surfing.
Talking Coffee Girls.
We have an entire I don't know anything. I don't know anything about surfing other than I like it when they do those incredibly monstrous waves like Bodie at the end of the movie with Johnny Utah, Point Break.
Point Break.
Yeah, that's the extent of what I know about surfing, and I like it when they do the big 1680 foot waves. I don't know anything about regular surfing events, though. Based on recent information, I'm willing to learn.
Yeah, I can see you now out there on Dolphin Island, getting a pontoon boat to go by slowly to create some waves.
Coffee girls. Hell, why aren't the coffee girls ever at Dolphin Island?
Yeah, that's true. That there's some. Hey, look, can we talk about the damn SEC championship game?
Oh yeah, let's
throwing a monkey wrench in your brain.
I think the guy that you bumped into at the SEC championship game, the one guy that listens to podcasts, he's probably like, already knew about the coffee girls. Let's move on.
He's gonna say, oh yeah, that's right. They're old. They don't get to see. I'm just now finding out about Instagram. Some of these Instagram girls. It's great. But anywho, SEC championship game. Your initial thoughts?
Are we too old to refer to women as bae? BAE. Yeah, it's like
I'm still on broads. Is that bad? Is that wrong?
Dames. These coffee girls are hot dames.
Yeah.
We won the game, didn't we?
We did win the game.
Who won the game? Who was the hero, and not the coffee girls, not Victoria's Secret models. Who won the game? Jalen freaking Hurts. How cool is that? If we had said, and we probably have, because all we do is talk about hypotheticals all year long. But if I'd told you, hey, Luke, this is what's going to happen. Tua's going to hurt his ankle, try to play through it, not play well, throw 2 red zone interceptions. We're going to drop 5 passes. We're going to fumble the ball 4 times. It's going to look so bad at one point that we're going to go, not only are we about to lose, we're not going to make the playoff. And in riding on his white horse to save the day, Jalen freaking Hurts. And
amazing.
I mean, and that it was against Georgia, at the same team in the same building, and that Jalen think about this. Jalen has delivered us to the playoffs 3 years in a row.
I know, it's amazing. It is. Now, and we could wax poetic about Jalen, and I wrote an article about Jalen. Surfer wax about Jalen, all that stuff. Another Jalen that's pretty damn kick-ass and somehow has become our best wide receiver is Jalen Waddle. He's our best wide receiver right now.
He might be. And remember how we said earlier this year, this is how smart we were. Back in September, October, we were saying emphatically, Waddle is better as a freshman than Judy was as a freshman, and Judy was fantastic as a freshman. But I'm saying Waddle was better quicker than Judy, Ruggs, or Devontae Smith. So, yeah, his upside is crazy, and I don't disagree with anyone that says he's the best. I might still go with Judy, but I mean, at this point, you're just splitting hairs. And next year, does anyone in college football have a duo like those two? And not to mention Ruggs and Devontae Smith behind. And I'll tell you, he's going to be a pretty good player. I'm pretty sure it's Xavier Williams. I don't think he'll be as good as Ruggs and Waddle, but I mean,
what about Terrell Shavers?
Not bad. He's played some. He's probably caught maybe 2 balls or something all year. I think he looks the part. I think he's always been kind of a raw project, but here's just a fact. It's just hard to get on the field. I mean, people we want to see Shavers catch balls. Okay, it just took a ball away from Henry Ruggs. Why would we do that? So, there's only one ball to go around. We have an abundance of talent at running back and wide receiver. It's very difficult to give everybody the reps and the balls and the chances. And I know everybody, I mean, I've been saying it for years about the running backs. When fans get frustrated, they're like, why don't we see more Brian Robinson? And my comeback to that all the time, defending the coaches who do the rotation, is, all right, well, let's give a carry to Brian Robinson. And you just took one away from Damian Harris. Why would we do that?
Right.
So, you just got to play the kids at the top of the depth chart until the game's over. And with wide receivers, the problem is you play the kids at the top of the depth chart until the game's over. But when the game's over, we're not still throwing the ball.
Right.
So it's a little unfortunate, but wow, Jalen Hurts is not only the hero of the SEC championship game, he sort of saved the season.
And how is he not the MVP? The excuse I heard was that they began collecting votes in the third quarter, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It was either a stupid vote or a stupid system, but it's just stupid. I mean, just flat out stupid. And I love Josh Jacobs. I mean, I know you do too. And Josh Jacobs has somehow, some way kind of turned maybe into our best back down the stretch. I'm not diminishing Josh at all. I'm just pointing out, in my view of that game, my view, maybe I'm the one that's wrong. I thought Jalen Hurts almost single-handedly won the game, or at least in the sense that he came in when we were behind and we needed to score fast. And he did it a couple of times by throwing the ball. And of course, he would make the big play with his legs, as he always does. But Jalen Hurts was the MVP of that game. I mean,
here's the other thing. Relative to his ability to be MVP before the game started, he's definitely the MVP. If you had $100 on Jalen Hurts to win the MVP of that game, you probably could have won $100,000. Like, nobody would have thought that. Josh Jacobs, I mean, I think you could say, okay, yeah, I can buy that because he has been the best back of late. He's catching balls well, he's running well, and all those things. And like you said, he did have some big plays in this game. There's no doubt, and we needed it. But I mean, just out of pure sentiment, I mean, I think it's the story of Jalen Hurts' life that he didn't get MVP of that game. That he does all these things correct, and then somehow, some way, he still doesn't get the credit he's due.
That is a great point. That made the podcast. I think we can turn it off.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you next week on
Talking Surfing.
Yeah, but all right. So, anything else? I mean, is there anything to hash and rehash about this game? This game's been talked about a lot. I mean, I've been to. Listen, let me say, I didn't go to the blackout game, but I went to the 2012 Georgia game, 2015 Georgia game. I went to the championship last year, and then I went to this one. I would say 12 was such a good game. I don't know which game I would put up there best. I mean, 2015 was such a blowout and a lot of fun, but you can't put it in terms of best. 12, the national championship in this year, gosh, you can just put them in a bag and pull one out, and I'd say, yeah, that was the best one I went to.
You know what just ought to be an endless loop? It's the other sport that I don't even really want to talk about because I'm so upset about the basketball. But remember when we beat Georgia in basketball about 6 years ago because Trevor Relaford made like
a half court,
something beyond a half-court shot at the buzzer to win the game? Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It's that needs to play on an endless loop because it best describes the Alabama-Georgia football series.
Oh, that's true.
We don't just beat Georgia. It'd be different like this during this long streak beating Tennessee. We have generally beat the shit out of Tennessee. I mean, most games, of the time, it's been 49-3. I mean, we've destroyed Tennessee. Georgia, we have now repeatedly ripped their hearts out of their chest socket.
But it's not just us. Think about, they were also a victim of a Hail Mary against Tennessee. Right. They were also a victim of the prayer in Jordan-Hare.
That's right.
Yep. I mean, Georgia fans have had it rough, man. I mean, and it's hard to have sympathy for them because they really are. Look, I've been to Tennessee and you know, you get spit on and you get your drink thrown on. You've been to LSU. You kind of expect it when you go to LSU. Like, if people don't spit on you or throw a drink on you at LSU, you're kind of like, do I smell bad? What's wrong with me? I mean,
like, what? It's like you didn't go.
But Georgia fans really are that they are that pompous a lot of times. Now, not all of them. I've got some Georgia fans that are friends of mine, and they're great people. But they really think they're up there with everybody else. And my take is, you've got to win some of these games first. You've got to beat us, and you just aren't doing it. I mean, ever since the blackout, it's been. I mean, they haven't beaten us since 2007.
Pretty hilarious.
I mean, but
hilarious.
I, in my old age, I sympathize with them because I remember being there against Tennessee and going, God, are we ever going to beat these orange jackasses again? And then, you know, so I sympathize with Tennessee fans a little bit now, too. I sympathize with everybody.
Every single team in the league has a losing streak to us other than South Carolina. And
we got to correct that next year. We can't go up there and let Jake Bentley go all Garcia on us.
Yeah, we got that game circled, Carolina. It's circled.
Nick Saban doesn't circle games.
He doesn't?
You know that. Nick Saban, you know how Nick Saban is. Nick Saban has circled Thursday tomorrow. He's like, we're getting better tomorrow. We're getting after tomorrow.
So I'm wrong to assume that next year, sometime around August 20th, Nick is going to Google. He's going to sit down at his laptop in his office. He's going to Google Alabama schedule 2019. And he's going to go, we played Duke. That's interesting. And then he's going to go down and then get to October and see that we play South Carolina and Columbus. And he's going to take out like a magic marker on his laptop and circle. Oh, this one's circled. I owe them.
No, what he's going to do is put one end of the cord into his USB port on his computer, the other cord into the UPS port, which I assume is in his left shoulder, and download all the information because he's a cyborg. He's usually in the Teen Titans or Justice League. So and then download the information and then be done with that and then go have a little Debbie and go to bed.
How many years, say, Nick retires in 2 or 3 years, whatever, and we continue to do the podcast, which is, of course, I don't know that our 2 or 3 fans are going to, give up on us by then. And they're like, oh, they're still talking about those surfer girls. I quit. How many years are we going to go where we don't mention Nick on every podcast?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
It's going to be a lot of years.
A Nick story, a Nick saying, oh, remember when Nick did this? Or remember when Nick said that? We're going to be doing that we're going to act like our grandparents' generation did about Coach Bryant. I mean,
he's going to beat Bill Brasky. There's no doubt about it.
And you know how, what I love it, remember one of our national championship teams, real old guys, they wore a button to their championship reunion that says, the older we get, the better we were. Yeah. Because as time goes on, their exploits have been exaggerated.
Oh, yeah.
How can you exaggerate Nick's exploits? And when you do, he is going to sound like some sort of cyborg that was invented from the DNA of John Wooden, Coach K, Tom Landry, Vince Lombardi, Bill Belichick, and Abraham Lincoln.
No, there's no question. It's going to be like the only way to exaggerate his exploits is, oh God, I remember that 2008 blackout game. We beat Georgia, and then we let them come back just to feel a little bit better about themselves, so they weren't totally down on the ground, and they wouldn't fire Mark Richt. And then after the game, Mark Richt came over to shake Nick Saban's hand, and that's when 4 defensive linemen that were redshirting all had to pick up Nick Saban's gigantic penis, and they slapped him in the face with it.
I didn't know
and ESPN got the whole thing.
I didn't know where you're going with that, but there was a great payoff.
You knew there was going to be a gigantic penis reference in there.
Thing looked like a surfboard.
Oh God. I mean,
yeah.
But anywho, so do you think the playoff committee got it right?
Definitely did. And this is what I've come up with. Now, we've had 5 selections. Well, I would like to see more historical pieces on kind of a deep dive into, okay, now we've had 5 of these things. We can really start getting a handle on how this works. That's what I'd like to see. What I mostly see is endless bitching about, oh, great, another playoff, and here's Alabama, Clemson, and Oklahoma again. That's mostly what I see from all these people that apparently their idea of the playoff is, let's pick random 4 teams out to play in the playoff because we're sick of seeing the best. We're sick of seeing the best teams. How about let's see Wake Forest and Kansas State, so at least we can change up the uniform colors. That seems to be what we're getting, because the 4 best seems really simple to me.
Oh, there's no question.
But here's my complaint. It's not a complaint. I'm going to call it an observation. I don't really think it's the 4 best. And I agree with Herb Street, who says Georgia's one of the 4 best. I agree. I think we have to admit now that the formula for making the playoff consists of two things: best and deserves. Okay?
Correct.
But it's not 100% deserves, because you can make an argument for almost anyone, particularly Central Florida, if it's about deserve. But what I'm saying about deserve is this. Yes, Georgia is probably better than Oklahoma. And my opinion is Georgia would beat Oklahoma more times than not. However, Oklahoma won their conference, finished with only 1 loss to Georgia's 2, and avenged their loss, you cannot keep out a conference champion that has Oklahoma's resume. And that's what I mean by deserve. Oklahoma deserved that 4th spot.
No, I'm with you. Now, the thing I would add, you can keep Oklahoma out if they had 2 losses, but they don't have 2 losses.
But they don't.
And here's the other thing. You know, people love to put that. I mean, I've heard so much whining and bitching, and Tim Brando is just on this, warpath.
What the hell is wrong with that guy?
That guy's got, man, he loves to do some random capitalization. What, did he go to the Bama K school?
I think what it is I've really thought about this because actually, I know that we disagree with him all the time. Tim's not a dummy. It's not like he's, how did he graduate from high school? But he's not a dummy. He just has some far-flung opinions. And what I think it is, and some people are like this, and hell, for all I know, me and you are like this, but I think some people are just terrible at Twitter.
Yeah, he's not real, and he can't, and he's so funny because he's like, it's my opinion. Everybody can have their own opinion, and you're just a dumbass.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Look, if you're saying everybody has their own opinion, it's like the people who say, boy, hate, there's no place anywhere ever for hate groups. I hate them. Okay.
Which sounds exactly, by the way, that sounds exactly like something I would say.
Okay. But let me go back. Everybody wants to put a nice, tidy bow on this and say it's so easy to pick out this. We just want to know, we just want transparency. We want to know, we just want to have an easy system for everybody to get in. But that's what makes it beautiful. And everything in sports is subjective. And Jimmy, I've said this a million times, but think about it. Yes, in pro football, if you win your division, you get in. But the problem with that is they have some 8-8, 9-7, 7-9
right.
teams get in. Okay, so that sucks. We don't want that. We don't want mediocrity. But in the Heisman voting, there's subjectivity because people are going to be influenced by this one last game from Kyler Murray, and so he's probably going to win it. They're not going to look at the body of work and think about, well, if Tua had played the number of snaps that Kyler Murray had played, he would have had probably better numbers than he would have had. There's subjectivity in the strike zone. How tall is the batter? What mood is the umpire in today? There's subjectivity in a charge or block call when it comes to basketball. There's subjectivity when a guy punched the ball out of bounds and the referee says, I think it went out about right here. And you don't, how's that son of a bitch know? He's 63 years old. He doesn't know. And we just all take it like, okay. There's subjectivity there's subjectivity in the NCAA basketball tournament. Yes, if you win your conference tournament, you get in, which is kind of subjective and stupid because teams with losing records can get in. But then the subjectivity comes in the at-large team selected and where they're seeded. They seed it sometimes based on geography, which takes away the whole art of seeding. So my point is, why can't we have subjectivity in this too? I think it's good for debate. Yes, Central Florida is behind the 8 ball every single year. My advice to Central Florida, my plan for Central Florida would be this. Call another team that feels slighted all the time. Say a Washington State, say a Washington or anybody like that, and say we will play you, and we'll do a home and home, or we'll do a 2-for-1. We'll do what we got to do, and then do the same thing with a Big Ten team that may feel or a Big 12 team that may feel slighted, like a Baylor or a TCU that's been slighted in the past, and try to beef up your schedule. You can't play the Citadel. Alabama can because we play in the SEC. Your best team that you beat was Cincinnati. That ain't gonna cut it, man.
I can say objectively, of the 4, Ellie Jean appears to be the hottest coffee sister.
That's good. That's a good take, baby. It's not take.
that was objective. I don't see that there's going to be a lot of doubt there. No, all great points. I agree 100%. I tend to hate change, but then they make a change, and then I tend to find something I like about the system. I don't have a problem, frankly, in now 5 years of the committee selecting the field. I have never been mad about the way they did the seating or who they included. I think they've gotten it right every time myself. I don't think they've ever gotten it wrong. But and I like using the word, like I said, best. And best is subjective, exactly like you said, Luke. People are going to have different opinions, and that's okay. That's what makes a lot of this fun, unless it's your team that gets screwed. but nobody gets screwed. For all the Georgia fans that feel screwed, don't lose to LSU by 20. LSU is an 8-4.
That's the thing. You have a reason for each one of them to say why you should get in or why you shouldn't get in. And
Ohio State got drilled by Purdue. Drilled. If they lost, Ohio State would be, just think of this, if they only lost to Purdue by 10.
By 3 points. Yeah, by 3 points.
They'd be in. They'd be in. But they got blown out by Purdue.
If you want to go to 8, I've been against it. I'm fine with it if we take away conference championship
Take away
games,
the conference championship. You'd have to.
Which won't happen because the SEC will block it. Because I'll tell you what, I watched the Pac-12 championship. That was like watching old people screw. It was awful.
What websites are you watching, man?
Well, you gotta look, Jimmy. You gotta plow through a few 4s till you get to a 10. You know. But no. It was awful, and it was one touchdown, and it was a defensive touchdown. And
is there a site called, it was like PornTube and RedTube? Is there like a Metamucil tube?
Oh, there's got to be. There's got to be like a 60 and up tube. Oh, gosh. That would be horrible. God,
freaking me out. I need to pull up the surfer.
Went to that site. Oh, Jesus.
Freaking me out. I better pull up the surfer picture again to calm me down.
But the Pac-12 they had one touchdown, and I heard one Pac-10 or Pac-12 sympathizer call in and say, well, Alabama played a 9-6 game against LSU. That's true. But all 9-6, 10-3 games are not created equal, because that 9-6 game had NFL players everywhere. This 10-3 game had NFL players in about 1 or 2 spots.
Those teams that played that 9-6 game would have played your team and beaten them 70-0. I mean, so shut up, Pac-10 or Pac-12, whatever the hell you were back in 2011.
We should make them the Pac-10 again.
We should, just because their comments are irresponsible.
We just docked them 2 points.
We just eliminated 2 universities.
But see, I was at the SEC championship game, and I'm telling you, it is as emotionally charged as any game. It means more. I mean, that it's not just a tagline; it's what it is. I mean, and so the ACC, it looked like David toying around.
The Pac-12 game wasn't even well attended. There was empty seats in every camera shot.
Yeah, it looked like Goliath toying around with David's less slingshot savvy cousin Frank.
And wasn't it? It's 9-3 Washington versus 8-4 Utah, or 9-3 Utah.
I mean, what an ass fest. I mean, just
again, all these people that say, "Oh, you got to be a conference champion to be in the playoff."
That's so stupid.
Oh God, it's just so dumb. Then it's not about the best. It's not about the best. What's all this? Why does everybody want to be so fair? I guess it's the participation trophy, era where, well, it's not fair if Alabama's in every year. It's the best teams. Who are the best? What other freaking criteria do you want?
And that's what Tim Brando always says. Tim Brando says we got to include these other areas of the country. Well, I mean, so if Alaska gets a football team, we got to include them. If Montreal has a football team, I mean, we don't have to include these other areas of North America. We do, just the best. I would say, look, if the Super Bowl were the LA Chargers and the LA Rams, I'm watching it.
Oh yeah. And by the way, nobody goes. I mean, aren't the Chargers still not really fully accepted into LA? I mean, they've embraced the Rams because the Rams
came really close to calling them San Diego just now.
Yeah, and the Chargers could end up in the Super Bowl, and they'll have
I'll tell you, that was a fun game the other night with them in Pittsburgh.
It was. I watched a great deal of it. But there's more fans of the Talking Tuscaloosa podcast than there are fans of the LA Chargers.
Well, I mean, you know what? It is stupid. I don't like it when teams move, because think about how, I mean, St. Louis has got to feel like they've been broken up with twice.
Well, how would we feel if Alabama moved?
Oh, it would be awkward. Welcome to University of Alabama in Wisconsin.
Oh God.
Well, all right. I've got to go call this. I got to go call the 7A championship game tonight. We got Talia Tagovailoa, Amari Kite,
Central Phoenix City has a couple of intriguing juniors I look forward to hearing you discuss next week. And we're going to transition for the month of December into recruiting, our favorite subject that doesn't have anything to do with Australian female surfers.
No, but can I tell you a story really quickly? And Lawrence, feel free to edit this out. There are 5 viewers, and I think if they're not easily offended, they may like this. But I'm going to tell this very quickly. All right, and you're a lawyer, so tell me, if I hear a story about a case that was going on, I can't get in trouble for repeating that, can I?
First of all, you're not a lawyer, so there is no such thing as attorney-client privilege as far as you are concerned. But are you saying you were in a courthouse?
No, I'm saying I heard about this case from somebody who was in the courthouse, and I mean, like,
that's a lawyer.
I started out being kind of silly. Now I'm.
Hey, well, this is a fact. Unless you're talking about a juvenile case in Alabama, hearings are all public. You can go watch. You can go watch a trial. You can go watch anybody's trial because it's all public record unless there's an order specifically sealing it or it's a juvenile matter. Everything else is public. Even divorces. I do divorces. Heck, if you want to entertain yourself, bring a box of popcorn and go down to the divorce court. You can sit there and watch people get divorced all day.
All right. Well, okay. So, and I'm going to clean this up as best I can, and this is going to be hard to clean up because it's very messy. So, a guy kidnaps a girl, and I mean, she's not a minor, I don't think. I think she's of age, whatever. He kidnapped her, and he ties her up, and he doesn't do anything. I mean, doesn't rape her, doesn't anything like that, but he does his business just on her feet. You know, like he's got a foot fetish. So his claim was he didn't do this. And of course, she was like, yeah, I know it was him. I mean, I was there. I remember it. It could have gotten a lot worse, but it's
kind of hard to forget that. It's kind of, you don't like, you don't forget.
You ruined my socks. But so
she was wearing socks. I guess he didn't do it right. I don't know.
No, but she was trying to get out of there in a hurry. She just put them on and was thinking, oh God, that's right. I shouldn't have done that. I got to turn them inside out when I wash them now. But anyway, so the guy was claiming he didn't do it. Well, the prosecution apparently had another witness that was a cellmate of this guy that gets up on the stand and he says, that's right. He has a foot fetish. In fact, he did it to me. And I remember
his feet?
I remember, yeah. He said, I remember it vividly. He made me do it. And about that time, the guy who's being accused of all this produced some paperwork. So for his lawyer, and the lawyer said, oh, is that right? He did it to you without your warning. He said, that's right. He said, well, what about this contract you signed that allowed him to do it? So apparently the defendant drew up a contract in his prison cell that said, herein, thereto, me, the whacker, will just skeet all over your feet. Herein, thereto, lie in, all those other Latin terms you use in contracts. And
this is the plot. This is the plot to 50 Shades of Grey, isn't it? It is,
but I was thinking, like, how could the guy that was on the stand that was trying to back up the prosecution be like, oh, shit, that's right, the contract. I totally forgot about that.
Well, his testimony did help because as a lawyer, I mean, maybe I'm reading too deep into this, but if this guy whacked off on his cellmate's feet after making him sign a contract, you're asking me if he kidnapped and tied up a woman and did her feet, my answer is going to be no, he probably did that.
Yeah. He definitely did it. In fact, that's where they're going to get him on a technicality. He didn't make her sign the contract.
Unless he could produce the contract that she signed with her feet. She was tied up.
Well, can you imagine, like, if like the hottest one of the coffee sisters came here and I said, okay, let's go through this contract first before we get down to business. Like, I probably would be out of the mood by then. This guy's got such a foot fetish that he draws up a contract and still wants to go through with it. Who does paperwork and then wants to go through with their fetish?
Committed. Someone very committed to the act. You're
a
committed.
Real hot accountant.
Wow. What a man.
What a story. Huh? And I'll tell you another story.
We got everybody thinking I'm weird. I haven't looked at these coffee sisters' feet not one time.
There was another story. This one I heard years ago, but I think it was from the same courthouse, where a guy, this older gentleman who was accused of like molesting his niece or something awful, just terrible shit. And so the prosecution gets up there and says, "Okay, sir, did you force her to take off her pants and dance in front of you?" He goes, "I plead the fifth." He goes, "Okay, did you or did you not unhook her bra with your mouth, sir?" He said, "I plead the fifth." He said, "Okay, did you or did you not fondle her behind with a cattle prod?" He goes, "No, wait a minute, I didn't do that." Now you just wait a cotton picking minute, sir. It's just, I mean, shit you hear in a courthouse, right?
Yeah.
If I go to jail because I told these stories, I'm looking you up.
Well, I'm not a criminal defense attorney, so no, it's public record.
Well, I'll be looking you up because I'll be in jail and I might need to sign a contract.
I will say this: you told the two funniest stories about feet being raped I've ever heard.
I mean, can you imagine, like, if that guy ever ran into Dr. Scholes? Dr. Scholes has no chance. Oh,
or the Coffee Sisters, he's like 8 feet.
Everybody's, you know what it was like? What was that movie? When the baby was talking with John Travolta. What's the name of that movie?
It's called Look Who's Talking.
Look Who's Talking, and
that's what should have been the name of our show. Look Who's Talking, Tuscaloosa.
That's not bad. And that woman walks up with those huge boobs, and John Travolta goes, "You thinking what I'm thinking?" The baby goes, "Yeah, lunch." Remember? Remember that?
I do. And that's
the Coffee
not as
Sisters
funny as...
walk up, and you thinking what I'm thinking? You damn right. 8 hot ass feet.
Feet.
Oh God.
Feet. I mean, feet's funny. I mean, the Coffee Sisters are unbelievable. But hell, I mean, if you're into feet, for all you know, you're looking at Honey Boo Boo's mother's feet.
I should have told this story a few weeks ago when we had
feet are they? This guy's even with male feet.
I should have told this story when Butch was on and asked if it.
Oh my God. Why are we talking? Why do we wait till the week after Butch to talk about feet like this? We're idiots.
Yeah, I bet you he won't barefoot kick any damn more.
Not in this state. Not anywhere near the Alexander City Courthouse, obviously.
All right. Well, I'm going to call Taulia Tagovailoa. I'll have a report later.
Hey, I hear he's good.
I hear he's got a pretty good brother too.
He's going to come in second Saturday. I'm sad, but he's coming in second. That's all right. That's not bad.
It's okay.
All right.
We'll get him next year. All right. Roll that, everybody.
Week on Talking Surfing.
And basketball team sucks. That last bit.
That's not breaking news.
All right. Bye.
Bye.